again from Berkshire Guitar Amplifier Repairs, Stuart Smith as ever, and up on the bench we have another Fender Blues Junior. I've worked on maybe 100 of these, and here's another one. This one has the problem of it starts to hum after a while, after it's been on for half an hour, and also, as an aside and unrelated, the reverb doesn't work. So I'm going to power it up and have a listen, and I don't expect to hear anything because he says it takes half an hour or an hour before it starts humming. But anyway, let's see what it does. And what am I thinking? I'm thinking HT caps. If hum starts to come after the amp's got warm, that could easily be an HT cap, and they don't use very good quality HT caps on these. I've changed hundreds of them. Anyway, I could be completely wrong. Let's have a look. We'll power it up and have a listen and take it from there. Alright, let's turn it on and plug the old guitar in. See what happens. Yeah, that's working okay. It's okay, and on the hum side, absolutely clean as a whistle. Not a trace of any hum. Let's check the reverb. I'm going to turn the reverb up full. And as reported, no reverb. Right, I'm not going to waste any more time on leaving it on. I'm going to take the back off, spin it around, and I'm just going to inspect those HT caps first and foremost. Here we are on the rear side of the amp. This is the cream board version. There's a green board version too. There are the HT caps. The amp is still on at the moment, so I won't get my fingers in there. And they are these IC caps, which I don't like. They're very cheap and nasty, and they do go. So what we want to do is have a look on the underside of these caps. And to do that, I think I'll put the amp on its side. That will make our life a bit easier. If there's going to be any leakage, we'll see it not on the top terminal here, on the negative. We'll see it on the positive terminal. So here are our 4 HT caps, and I hope you can see, as I can immediately, that the top two, let's turn this up like this, the top two are leaking out the ends. Look, can you see the gunk? The top one and the middle one. The lower one doesn't seem too bad, and the larger one also, maybe it's starting to leak a little bit, but doesn't seem so bad. So we're going to be replacing all 4 of those, and that will cure the problem that the customer has of the amp gradually starting to hum as it warms up. Well, let's get cracking with that. Before I do that, I thought I'd have a very quick look at the reverb since the amp is up on the bench and on. So, okay, the reverb's up full, and I'm banging the reverb tank and there's nothing. So I'm just going to disconnect it here. It could be a faulty reverb tank, or it could be the leads. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing hold of that. Now I would have expected that to be a lot louder. Oh no, there we go, the reverb was down a bit. I thought I'd turn the reverb up actually, so I'm just going to... This is the reverb return from the reverb tank. So let's just plug that in, make sure it's plugged into the right one, because I have known reverb tanks to be put the wrong way around. Can't see, it's on the other side. Anyway, let's plug this in here and see if banging the tank, it doesn't. So that reverb tank is faulty. We'll need to take that out and have a look. It could just be a broken wire, or it could need a new reverb tank. we'll leave that for the moment and concentrate on the recap. Right, the first thing we're going to do is to check that the caps are discharged. I've unplugged the amp and disconnected it from the mains. These should all be discharged, and they are. So we can get in there without any risk of nasty surprises. Now let me go and see if I have the right capacitors for here. I notice they're glued in. I'm going to do this from the top side. I know a lot of people don't like doing repairs like that, but I promise you it's perfectly okay. This isn't going to the moon, this amplifier. It'll be perfectly okay to do a top side repair, and the alternative is to take the board out, which of course I can do, but every time you take the board out you strain these interboard connectors here. They do not like being flexed, they're very stiff, so I'm always very leery about taking a board out on one of these amps. Anyway, let me see what I've got in stock and I'll show you how I do the repair from the top side. Right, I've got three 22 microfarads at 500 volts in stock, so that's a higher working voltage than this, so they will last longer. And I also have an F&T 47 microfarad at 500 volts again, which will replace that, and again that will last longer than that one. Now the first thing I always do is just to take a quick photograph on my mobile phone, just in case I ever get in any doubt about orientation. I 100% won't need that photo, but in the past I have had cause to look at that photo and I was very glad that I took it, so I've just got in the habit ever since. They're all marked positive, positive, positive and positive, so we can't possibly go wrong. Now what we're going to do is just to cut these caps off close to the body, leaving the stalk sticking up. These caps are no good anyway, we're definitely not going to be reusing them in anything, and they're just going to get chucked straight in the bin. So cut them off right really close to the body, leaving the lead sticking up. These have been glued down. I will also, there's a little bit of a, yeah, there's a little bit of lead there. I'll just get that whilst I see it. Don't like things like that floating around inside. That's interesting, that, because that was underneath that capacitor and it hasn't come from anything I've done, so that was floating around. There we go, that's that one. Finally this one. So I'm just going to get my hot melt glue gun fired up, because I'm going to be putting some hot melt glue down on there. Now we're going to straighten these leads, just like that. And these ones. Like that. May as well do the big one first, so that's going to sit in there like that, and we're going to wrap these leads around these sticky up bits here. Now to do that I'm just going to bend this down slightly and along, and I'm going to bend this one down and along, trim off the excess. We've got way too much there. So it's going to go in something like that, get it the right way around, positive, positive, yep. That's a bit better, good. Just waiting for the glue gun to heat up, so meanwhile we can be doing something similar with these. That's going to go in there like so. Just see. Yes, that's quite tight in there, so you've got a lot to play with there. Come straight down on these. And then out. Like so. Positive at the top, negative at the bottom, so that's going to sit in there like that. How's our glue gun doing? Ooh, yeah, we have glue. Right, so we can just put some glue along the bottom of here. And put it in. There we go. Like so. Good, so I'll show you how to do this one, and then this is just a repeat performance. So we're just going to bend this round here. It's important that it's the right length. And we can also bend this down a bit. Good, that's perfectly alright, that 100% acceptable. There we go, that's that done on one side. Now we've just got the other side to do, same performance there. Good. That's fine. Now we can solder that. Perfect. Another reason for doing topside repair like this is to save the customer money. It's an extra £40 or something if I have to take the board out, whereas it's a lot cheaper to do it this way. So anyway, there you go. I've done one. I'm just going to repeat the performance on these three here, and then we're good to power it up and check the reverb. I think is the next thing. But anyway, let's get these in. Okay, there we go. All four replaced. Positive on the left, yes. Positive up, up, up. All good. We can now turn the amp on and make sure it works before hunting down the reverb problem. Right, turn it on. Yep, all working good. So that's our recap done. Now let's take out the reverb tank and see what's going on inside there. If we're lucky, it'll just be a broken wire. Right, let's take the reverb tank out. Here we go. Let's have a look. So it's the out that we're interested in here. There was no output, so it's going to be something here. I can see immediately what it is. Let me show you. Right, so you may not be able to see, but anyway, here's the transducer for the reverb pan, and that black wire there has broken off of the connector there. This happens because the pan's doing this all the time. It's vibrating up and down, 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 and these wires just get strained and they break. They either break here or here or here, and that's all that's wrong with that. So we can't easily fix this plug here, I don't think I can easily get that wire back in there. So what I'm just going to do is to solder both of these wires, the pins there. I'm just going to solder them directly on rather than having it plug in. It's a tricky little repair, but it will save the cost of a reverb pan. With this very fine wire, I don't try to strip it, I strip it with a soldering iron, because you can't possibly nick the inners like that. Just pinch it off with your thumbnail. If you try to strip that with anything, it'll just break. Just melt the insulation around there, and off it comes, pinched off with the thumbnail. Now I'm just going to tin both of these. I'm not going to be able to solder that onto there without getting my head in there with my eyeglass, so I'm just going to now just tin both of these with my eyeglass and then solder these two onto there. Okay, that was a very tricky little repair to do that, but I've done it, and hopefully that reverb tank will now work. Well, we can check that by, if I remember, that black one was the output. Let's turn it on. We can just connect the reverb pan outside of the amplifier. So turn the reverb up. Where is it? There. Yes, this is the reverb return. So this goes to out on the pan. Oh, right. Okay. Well, that hasn't fixed it. Well, what a surprise. Very surprised at that. Huh. Right, well, I'm just going to grab a reverb pan and see if this works. There we go. That's okay. And whilst we're at it, let's check the actual reverb signal. Amp's working fine. It's just the reverb pan. Well, that's a bit of a surprise to me. Broken wire, reconnect wire, and no signal. I mean, I have had these transducers go faulty many times. I have no idea why a transducer like that goes faulty, particularly a receive one, in other words the one that just takes the receive signal from here. Why would that ever go faulty? But I've replaced dozens of reverb pans with actual open circuit transducers. So there you go. I say it's 50-50 that I can fix it by repairing like you've just seen, and 50-50 is actually faulty. It's completely open circuit, this transducer. Just out of interest, what's this one doing? That is open circuit. Oh, that's interesting. I just noticed this. Sorry, that's this one banging away. Just get rid of this. Just notice this, look. Both of these wires are off of this one. Both of them have come off. So we would have had to repair that anyway. But it's strange why this is not showing any signal here. absolutely open circuit. Let's go a bit higher, but I don't, it's nothing. Nope. So that reverb pan is absolutely no good. We have to put another reverb pan in. I'm sure you know this, but just in case you don't, a reverb pan is quite a simple little thing actually. It has two transducers, they're just coils, there's one there and there's one there. And you put quite a hefty signal into, let's just say this one for the moment, and it kind of acts like a solenoid and waggles the spring, and the sound goes up the spring and bounces around, and then waggles this solenoid here, which induces a much smaller voltage into this coil, and that gets picked up as the reverb output. So that's how it works, and I don't know why these coils go open circuit. I have no idea, but they do. Particularly the receive one, which is curious, because if you're putting a hefty current through one of these to make it waggle, you might think, okay, well, it's very fine wire, maybe it pops, maybe it goes open circuit, but this isn't doing anything. It's literally having a bit of iron waggled inside the core and inducing a voltage which gets taken off. But well, we should be talking about this one. This is the receive one, and it's gone completely open circuit. I've had many like that, and I really don't understand. If anyone knows why that coil, which has got no current applied to it whatsoever, regularly goes open circuit, resulting in you having to throw away the reverb pan, I would dearly love to know. So we need to get the right reverb pan, which I'm now going to have to order. It's an Accutronics, and this number here, 8EB2C1B, I think that is. This tells you, you can look it up, there are dozens and dozens of these, but basically it's the number of springs, 2 or 3, the length of it, the impedance of the input and the output, whether the inputs and outputs are isolated from the chassis, or whether some of them earth the chassis, all kinds of stuff basically. The delay time, all kinds of things. Anyway, you need to get the right one. Most reverb tanks will work in anything, but it's worth getting the right one. And this is an 8EB2C1. Unfortunately, I can't quite read that last number on there. It's probably a B. Again, I'll look it up. And I'm going to have to order one. I've got this one here. What is this? This is an... Oh, would you believe? What the chance of that? The one reverb tank I have is an 8EB. What's the chance of this? A 0. Here's an 8EB2C1B. 8EB2C1B. So I'll pop this tank in and I'll order a new one. That'll save the customer waiting. Awesome. Well, let's do it then. Okay, the new reverb tank is in. It went in very simply, and it's all plugged up. Can't believe I had that one in stock. I've got one large and one small reverb tank. Turn it on and cool. Pretty good reverb, that. Good. Well, I think we're good to go on this amp. I will quickly check the bias. I won't detain you with that. And well, maybe I will. Maybe I will detain you. Yep. Let's just quickly have a look at the bias, because I don't know. I asked the customer if he wanted a new set of valves, which this amp does need, and he said no, and that's fine because they will last a while, and I think it's only for his daughter who is just learning or something, so it's not as though it's like gig critical or anything. So I'm going to quickly show you, without getting into huge detail, how to test the bias on a Fender Blues Junior really quite quickly, without doing any particular clever measurements or anything. Right, what we are going to be doing is measuring. First of all, let me show you. This is the center tap of the output transformer, this red wire here. All of these are HT voltage, by the way. This is one side of the output transformer, which goes to one of the power valves plates, and here's the other side of the output transformer, which goes to the other power valve plates, and they kind of act in push-pull. So what we can do is to do a very quick and dirty bias measurement, because the resistance of the output transformer primary is about 100 ohms. So if we measure from here to here on a lowish voltage scale, don't forget we've got like 400 volts here and 400 volts here, so we're not measuring 400 volts, we're measuring the difference between these two, so that's why we can go on such a low voltage. So let's just see what it is, and it's 4.3 volts, look. Now I want to check on this blue. It often does hum like that, I've noticed when I do that. 3.05. 3.95. So 3.95, 3.05. That means that one of these valves is pulling a bit more current than the other. And let's just do the average though between them, say 3.5 volts roughly. Now 3.5 volts across 100 ohms is 35 milliamps. So each of these valves is pulling about 35 milliamps, which is fine from the EL84 in a Blues Junior. This one's pulling 38 milliamps, and this one's pulling 30 milliamps. This is quick and dirty, this measurement. It just tells me if they're roughly okay. There's a slight difference in resistance between the two halves of the winding, that's why we get a slightly different reading, but it just tells you that you're in the right ballpark, which we are. Had I seen one of those valves off, or very low, or one very high or something, one was up to 60 and one was down at 10 or something like that, I'd know we have a problem with these tubes. The customer wants to keep the tubes, they're basically working. We've got a motley selection of preamp tubes. It'll be fine for another 5 years or so, and it's not gig critical, so we're going to leave well enough alone there. Great, well, what a fantastic little fix that was. Very straightforward in the end. Recap, and it was what I thought it was, which is a rarity. And I had the reverb pan in stock. What are the chances? Absolutely negligible. So the customer only dropped it off about 3 hours ago, and he's coming in the next 10 minutes to collect it, so he's very happy. So there we go, another one under the belt. I've got an absolute workshop full of amps at the moment, so I'm just going to plough through a few, hopefully relatively quick ones, which aren't interesting enough to make a video about, but I've got 2 or 3 really nice old Marshalls, which I'm going to get stuck into later in the week, and I'll make videos about them, and I know you're going to love them. One's a Marshall Blues Breaker. Anyway, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time on the next video.